Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing? Quite the interesting, quite the interesting weekend that we had. Before we go too far, if anybody wants to jump on, as always, just let me know in the comments, and I will send you the link if anybody's free that wants to jump on to chat. We're just hanging out tonight. Nothing too crazy. Couple things to kind of, I wouldn't say go over, but it's more so a couple things to consider as guys are funneling in here. For the guys that are fishing the kayak stuff, um, our qualifier for the California Bass Nation was posted. So the dates are June 28th and June 29th. It's going to happen on Clear Lake, and it is a 2 day event. So at the end of June, for all the guys that are aspiring to possibly fish on the classic stage, or fish against during our kind of classic is what we consider it for the guys that want to try to qualify, June 28th and June 29th on Clear Lake. Um, it's just a one time event. Pay your Bass membership. You got to pay your Bass Nation membership as well, and may the best anglers get a chance to go. I believe it is the top 10%. So if we get 110 guys signed up, 11 guys get sent. So that's one of the big events that's coming up. How are you doing, Poa? You're supposed to be on here. It's a shame. It's a shame. Um, yeah. So Bass Station qualifier coming up this week. We have Bam on Clear Lake, of course. Guys that want to get your cool media shots, get featured, possibly get featured in Bass Angler magazine. It's a great time to go fish the Bam kayak site. I actually got to fish. Well, sorry, I didn't get to fish, but I actually got to work the BAM program on Don Pedro last week, and it's the best way to say it is an experience. It's much different than how we do the kayak deals. I fished boat tournaments before as well, but not multiple day boat tournaments. So it was a really cool experience from just seeing how everything is ran behind the scenes. Obviously, as the anglers, you catch a fish, you weigh your fish, you let your fish go, or you take your fish to release boat, or you release them back, in your boat, and then you drive out to our X amount of area before you drop your fish on a boat. Um, Something I typically don't deal with, right? Just because on a kayak, you catch a fish, you take a picture of it, and then you let the fish go immediately. So it was interesting to see the fish's behaviors and mood in the tank. Um, Specifically, it seemed like the longer you kept the fish in the release tank, the more that the fish would acclimate to that, I guess, higher elevation, or um, the higher the higher water column, so the fish would want to float up more. So you would typically end up having to fizz more fish, even though the fish came from your bass boat at that ground level. It seemed like the longer that you held them in your release boat, then it just seemed like the fish wanted to belly up more, as in the air bladder filled with air more. Because as soon as I was working the release boat, and as soon as I would see the fish, we'd get the fish, we'd put the fish in the release boat, and they would automatically want to swim to the bottom. Obviously, they want to acclimate to deeper water immediately. So it was just interesting to see fish behavior and the sheer amount of fish. Um, the boat side caught a 10 pounder on Friday, so that was it was good to see another 10 pounder. Um, Besides that, it was a lot of fun. Um, that's happening. So Bass Angler Magazine, the kayak side, which brings up a good point. I'm gonna pull it up here simply because I feel like this is something that a lot of guys will probably, I wouldn't even say complain about. It's just guys are always interested in this. And very specifically, I'll pull this up on the screen here. What I'm referring to is the payout sheet for Bass Angler Magazine. Now, this is based off of 75 anglers, as Michael Bray, Bass Angler Magazine tournament director. So guys, I'm almost 100% certain that there will be anglers that are upset that it's paid out so deep, as in so deep in the roster. And then there's also guys that are happy that it's paid out so deep into the roster or the number of anglers. So it's 1 out of every 5 anglers gets cash or checks. So if you get 50 kayakers or 50 anglers, you're going to be paid out 10 spots. 1 in 5 means 1 out of every 5 anglers that signs up basically gets a check. So the payout is way, as some would say, the payback is very low just because it's spread so far down the field. Now, here's my take on it. And I can see how both ways, guys would be upset. Very simply because for like me specifically, I live about 4.5 hours, 5 hours away from Clear Lake. Let's just say that I'm not saying I'm going to, but let's just say I win the event, right? Everybody in California knows the gas prices in California. We're roughly around $4.50 plus or minus, some places upwards of $5. Even if I win the event, it's going to be hard to break even after lodging and everything else. That being said, it also goes the other way as well. As in, if I don't win, but at least I cash a check, I still won't be in the negative as bad. Now, I don't think it's a bad thing that it's paid out so far, but I also understand the guys that are upset that it's paid out so far. It still is a competition. It still is a tournament. Your competitive guys are gonna want it to be rewarded to the guys that earn it instead of essentially a participation check. Now, as I said, it's not a bad thing either way. Both sides of the argument are basically correct, in my opinion, because just very simply, we're at the end of the day, we're still competing and we still get the media exposure, which was what Bass Angler Magazine basically, promised to us, what Mark and them promised to us. In terms of the payout wise, to make it worth your time to basically go compete, it's to each their own, right? I don't feel like it's absolutely necessary to have a high payout in the current state of our kayak tournament scene, if you want to call it that. I just don't see it being absolutely necessary for us to have, say, for example, like a first place payout to $5,000 and then second place is just $700. I do agree and completely understand that if you win the event, you should be able to feel like you actually won the event, and whether that's through income or whatever it may be, right? So I get both sides. I understand both sides. There really isn't a right way to go at it. I guess the only thing that could probably make it right at this point, as in the way that I would appease the anglers, right, would be essentially to have the anglers vote on it. And even then, you'll get guys that are, not happy about it. That's just that's just tournament fishing. It seems you can never please everybody. You know, everybody's right and everybody's wrong always in tournament fishing. So yeah, don't be upset. Go fish. Go get the exposure. Go have fun. Uh, it's not an elite level of tournament fishing, so you know that's all I got to say on that. It's great. It's just as a competitor, do I wish the payouts were leaning more towards the upper top 5 or limit the amount of payouts? Yeah, of course, but that's as a competitor. But big picture wise, it's always nice to get a little bit of kickback. Big picture wise, more kickback you give to the guys that cash a check, it allows them to recuperate some funds to basically sign up again next month, next week, next event. So you get more guys that can return back and fish the event instead of just throwing all their eggs into one basket, that one event. So it's right and it's wrong, but it's also right. It just depends on how you see it. So how you doing, Jorge? How you doing, Roy? How you doing, Wayne? How you doing, Chang? And also, how you doing, Abel? It's just my opinion, Abel. I'm a nobody angler. For me personally, the payback probably helps me because I'm not the best angler out there. So I won't win that many events, but if I could continue to cash checks, it helps me get gas money to go to these events. How you doing?
So.
You got me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry. How you doing, Steven? Yeah, I just kind of went over the BAM payout. Did you see the BAM payout?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on it? Well, I don't know. Did you hear my little rant I was going on?
No, I heard a little bit before I'd run and do something real quick.
Yeah, but basically it's just everybody's right and everybody's wrong. As a competitor, upper echelon payout would be more ideal, right? To reward the guys that actually win.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, paying out deeper also gets more people to sign up and continue to sign up because they have that additional payout to come
100%.
back in. Yeah. So if we want to grow the numbers, I feel like the deeper we pay out is probably better to grow the numbers of competitors. But
it is. Look at the what is it, the native event that's coming up? Yeah. They only pulled. I think they pull numbers because of the way they do payouts per hour. Yeah. What's up, Sean?
Great finish, by the way. You guys at Don Pedro team event. Great finish.
Thank you.
Why do you have on black latex glove?
Oh, I'm tying bait up for sturgeon.
Oh okay.
Yeah, here.
Okay. That makes sense.
That gives me something to do instead of just sit here and twiddle my thumbs like I usually do.
It wouldn't matter anyways. There's Raymond. But yeah, there's that. I don't know if you're aware, but I kind of told everybody in the beginning, Bass Nation qualifier for the opportunity to go fish the Classic next year. Well, it's not the Classic, but it's archived version of the Classic, the Kayak Championship. It's June 28th and 29th. It's a 2-day event on Clear Lake. So
I did see that. It's a $60 membership or something you have to pay in, or $65 membership for bass, and then I think $130 entry fee. I think.
I haven't gotten the numbers down, but I
Unless
do know
that was the Havasu event that's coming up.
That Havasu event is already over.
Oh, there's another one.
That may be you're talking about the Arizona one, as in the Arizona. Arizona has their own. Yeah, they have their own Bass Nation, and that is also a qualifier. The one I'm referring to is what we had last year was the wild card event.
I'm probably gonna have to fish that event actually.
Yeah. So it is June 28th, 29th for everybody that's listening. And for anybody that's aspiring to basically compete on the grand stage, that's,
Yeah.
one of your best shots to get in. Outside of that, you got to travel outside of California, go to Arizona, as Isaiah was saying. Arizona Bass Nation is also having their qualifier on Havasu again in, I believe, April, if I'm not wrong. I don't know the exact date, but I believe April.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. That's what I saw the other day.
Yeah. So another way to qualify. Besides that, how's everybody doing in the chat? Oh, before that, I did get to fish the DRT police for the guys that are wondering. Isaiah saw. I showed Isaiah the bait. It's a huge bait.
It's the size of a S waiver, of a standard size S waiver.
Yeah, 168. It's about the same size as a 168. I was fishing on 20-pound fluoro. I got it down to 25, 30 feet easy. The deepest I hit on 20-pound fluorocarbon was 32-ish, 33-ish feet in open water.
Yeah.
So it gets down on 20-pound fluorocarbon.
I wouldn't want to throw out anything less than maybe 15, maybe.
On that thing, I believe 15 is probably the least you could probably get away with. Maybe 14, or maybe even braid. Deep cranking with a sinking braid may be an option. Just because it's thinner, it'll run a little bit deeper, possibly. That's also an option.
I mean, I've experimented with deep cranks and braid and leader. I just noticed the difference. I'd rather run straight fluoro.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna burn it in and then pause it every now and then,
braid.
Then run the braid. But if you're just gonna burn it in and crank like normal and just beat the bank and try to hit the bottom as much as possible, then fish it normal. Just fish on 12. I fish 12-pound on all my deep cranks. So
yeah. Well, I fish a 6XD with 15 all the time. I don't drop down much. I can hit roughly about 25 feet on a 6XD with 15-pound. So it's plenty deep most of the time.
Speaking of 6XDs, one sec.
Yes.
I found this monster.
Good evening, John.
What's up, John?
John Ellis and John Myers.
I found this thing on Clear Lake like a couple years ago, and it's a color that I've known that works at Clear Lake. I just don't have a rod for it. It is the 10XD, I believe, in citrus shad.
Yeah.
Like this.
What are you trying to say?
No, I'm not trying to say nothing, but this is like a color that you'll see most guys throw on Clear Lake.
Yeah. For everybody that's going to Clear Lake.
Yeah, there's a little hint right there for next week. Or this week.
Not even next week.
This
2
week.
days. Yeah, 2 days, 3 days.
Yeah, if I could do it, I would do it, but I got other plans.
Yeah. Well, since you have other plans, what would be your game plan for fishing Clear Lake? Since you won't be there anyways.
I would probably have a glide bait tied on, throwing that around docks or ambush points with this little front we have coming that's in right now.
Well, hold on 1 second. Let me check something.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if we're supposed to have
talk about
information. Yeah.
Yeah, before we finish.
I
don't think it matters though.
Yeah. Because I believe it's off limits. We just disqualified everybody that's listening in.
I didn't say nothing. You didn't hear me.
I'm pretty sure Michael Bray would let us get away with this, though, right?
No, for BAM, no, I think they're fine. I don't think there's an information rule with BAM.
No information other than from competitors. Yeah, see. So we can't
Oh.
say. But then
Sorry,
this
not
goes
sorry.
back. Yeah, this goes back to our rant
2
the
weeks
other
ago.
time.
2 weeks ago.
Well, there it is. Don't tell us.
No, I ain't gonna tell you now.
Yeah. Well, way to shoot that down.
Hey, at least everybody knows about that one bait. So
Yeah. Matthew's going nuts. Rules for the sake of rules. Oh dear. It's okay. I believe Michael Bray. I'll send out whatever that we said here to Michael Bray, and he'll just
post it
he'll
everywhere
review.
else.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, I'll just get disqualified.
Technically it's not information. It's how I would break it down.
It's still information.
It is.
Yeah, because you're not.
I wouldn't even name spots. I would have just been explaining otherwise.
Yeah, but it should be fun. I guess we'll have to leave it at that. That is also happening this weekend. So anybody that wishes to fish a tournament on Clear Lake or pre-fish, I guess you could say, for the native event, it's not too far off. It's right around the corner. The fish shouldn't be doing too much different compared to whatever they're doing now.
Nope.
So be a great time. As long as the podcast is made public, it wouldn't be a violation according to Bassmaster's definition of the rule. We're a public entity, Matthew. However, BAM may run things slightly different. So, that's just tournament fishing. Things run a little bit different than everybody has their own take on rules.
There's a lid for every pot.
Yeah.
Just keep it simple.
Yeah. Some of us aren't even in the tournament. You can tell us. Everyone plug your ears. What we can do is let's talk about Pedro. What do you think the fish were? Yeah, what do you think the fish were doing? Not so much what you were catching your fish on, but what were the fish doing?
They were in that in-between stage to where the winter pattern was still there and the pre-pattern was starting, is what I've noticed.
Yeah.
I mean, I spent 3 or 4 trips out there and did all days to where I noticed later in the day was when the bite was the best because the water warmed up. So those fish were coming up.
Yeah, they were pulling up shallower, more fish up shallow.
Come tournament day when I'm fishing the banks with just no structure on it, just rock basically, like everywhere else.
Yeah.
Most of those fish were so tight to the bottom you couldn't see them.
Mm-hmm.
You throw something over them and then you see them come up.
Yep. Yeah.
But it's in that weird stage that.
You guys are talking about places for Clear Lake. If anybody has an extra room for Mr. Raymond Gamnis, he needs a love connection for Clear Lake.
Come on, Max, hook him up.
Dude, I live 5 hours away. I don't.
Aren't you going?
I am going, but I live 5 hours away. I don't have a place I'm crashing. If anything, I'm gonna go sleep in Redbud with all the nice people in Redbud.
Or just stay at the state park for $30 or something. I don't know how much it is anymore.
Campground, right? You're referring to
it's fairly cheap.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll be honest, I think it's the cheapest paid for ramp in the state right now.
Yeah. Well, there you go, Raymond. You could possibly camp out at State Park, right?
Sleep in the car.
Yeah. Yeah. Do we get disqualified for that? For passing out camping information?
I don't know.
Oh dear. Yeah, Pedro is in that in-between stage.
My home lake is too.
Yeah. State doesn't have power, so if you're trying to charge batteries, you can't. You would have to bring a generator. Is essentially
Just
what Abe was saying.
run an extension cord from the bathroom. Not like we haven't done it before.
Isaiah with all the answers.
I'm being serious because I've done it before.
That's funny.
They just didn't say
But-
nothing because I just left it on the side.
Yeah. Right now is a good time to go get a Huddleston fish on Pedro as well. Some of those bigger FEMAs that are just off on the edges, the deeper edges.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I
they're
had
feeding.
it with me. I didn't even throw it. I didn't even give it a chance because the two areas I was really sticking to,
Mhm.
I don't think they would have bit it because that there were so many smaller fish there that they would have needed to be way off or just the one single by itself.
Yeah.
But even when you saw the one single one there, I know, right?
Yeah.
I don't think they would bite. They would need the competitive or the edge from another fish to pressure them to bite.
Yeah, so interesting fact. I believe when I did fish Pedro as well, I found an area where they were spawning together. And what I mean by that is there's multiple fish spawning around two rock piles specifically. And then a set of fish would spawn on this side, on the south end of the rock pile, and another set of fish would be spawning on the north end of the rock pile.
Huh.
Yeah, it was.
That's
It
odd.
was yeah, it was about 15-ish foot of water. But
But how far apart were your piles, though?
the rock itself, the boulder itself, was, I want to say it was like a 10-foot boulder. So they've been, basically a pair of fish was on this side, and then another pair of fish was on the opposite side.
Oh,
Very
that's odd.
simple. Yeah, very simply only because I would make a cast and then I would pull the two that's on the north end of the rock, and they would come
Yeah.
chase it out. And then as soon as they see the other two on the other side, then they would just turn right around and swim back to their side of the rock. And then those other two would chase my bait in. So
Huh.
it was very interesting to see.
I'm surprised to hear that you actually found possibly a pair of spawning fish.
Yeah, very slow
Early
tapering
stage.
point. Yeah, very, very slow tapering point. It was the sun beaten side of the bank, as in when the sun rises.
The south facing side.
Yeah, basically the side of the bank that gets the most amount of heat throughout the day. Something that some guys, I guess, don't consider anymore.
No, I mean, I still do it.
Yeah.
That's
Well, no.
kind of what I looked at too.
Yeah, but something that a lot of guys forget. That side warms up fastest.
Yes.
That
I
being
mean,
said,
even
like I said,
structure in the water warms up fast, even though the water was what 10 to 15, 18 foot visibility.
Yeah.
That deeper structure is still going to warm the water up in that area much faster than your basic not chunk rock, but your basic pebble rock bank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was a slow tapering point that ran for like 100 yards or so before it dropped off to about 35 feet of water, and they were just all over it. It's just, they don't want to bite. But
that's how it is.
Yes, sir. I do also want another shot at Pedro.
Sadly,
Fun
we're not going
fact.
back.
Fun fact: I worked the BAM Pro-Am, and on Championship Sunday, I got out to go fish for a little bit towards the end of the day, and I had something around 80 inches within an hour right in front of the boat ramp.
Were you fishing a release fish?
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to get at, was I caught nothing but release fish right in front of the boat ramp. So
That's because I saw in their post, their boat, that they didn't normally they go further and release them further, but I guess not this time.
No, we did. I worked the release boat, so we did. It was right outside the 5 mile an hour zone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was released further out, and a lot of fish survived, given how many fish that was.
You're probably not. Normally, when I've seen release boats, is they actually run across over different areas on the lake and let go fish in different areas versus all in one area. I don't know if that's what they did.
I plead the fifth.
Huh.
I plead the fifth. Dominic, I have not been to my honey hole since January. Although I have not been there since January, I know that there's fish on beds. I also know that the fish are shallow, and I also know that the fish are staging to spawn. I do also know for a fact that there still are trout feeders, and there is an LV 500 bite. Water temp, even though I haven't been there in such a long time, I'm pretty sure the water temp has finally warmed up, and it should be in that 58 to about 59 kind of deal as the day progresses.
That reminds me. So I saw something that Nick, the informative fisherman, I don't ever see him post much, but he posted his little pond that he has in his HOA or community he has. He goes, we have bluegill and everything here, but they won't come out and feed until the water is just above 57 degrees.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I saw that clip as well. It was an interesting take, if that makes sense. And then you actually see the fish react as that water warms up. Versus they would have been feeding on the bottom. He would have to drop worms on the bottom instead of them feeding on the surface in that warmer 58, 57, 58 degree water temp.
100%.
Yeah. No, Dominic. January, I believe the last time I went out there was the week after I caught my 13 for New Year's, and that was the last time I've been there. So, second week of January. But yes, the water should be turning around. Should be much warmer. The crappie have already spawned, and the bass are right there. So, back of pockets. There should be fish in back of pockets right now. That's without me ever being there in forever. But yes, there's a shallow bite. 100% there's a shallow bite. That being said, what is next for you, sir? Where are you fishing next? What are you fishing?
I think I'm going to Clear Lake actually next Friday.
Okay. We can't talk about that. So what are you
Nope.
What are you gonna do?
The next event though I'm fishing is Folsom, which is the 22nd.
I believe, if I'm not wrong, somebody caught like a 7-pounder on a glide bait out there not too long ago.
Yes, I heard about that.
Yeah,
but they are also dropping the water.
Oh, really? They're dropping the water already?
Yeah, I think there's so much that they can't use the ramp at Granite Bay, so they're trying to drop it just enough.
Interesting.
I know the Hobie ramp at Browns is open, so.
Interesting.
Not the Hobie ramp, the Marina ramp, I should say.
Yeah, I didn't realize the water came up that high already.
It came up fast.
I haven't been checking the water levels at Folsom. If anybody's interested in a cheap place to stay, in a decent place to stay for cheap.
Oh no, Sean's here. Great. What hashtag do we have today?
Message Abel for a place to stay for Clear Lake. He may know. He has some connections, so they offer single nights. So if anybody's looking for a room for
single night, I'm married, so I don't know about single nights.
That was a bad joke.
I know.
But
it's been a long day. Hold on. I'll be right back. Hold on.
Keep going.
Uh-oh.
Bad joke.
I can totally hear you.
Man, get out of here with that name, Sean. Took me a minute, but I caught on it.
Yeah, you did. That's the only thing you caught.
You guys are catching feelings on a podcast.
I can't read that.
Crickets.
Oh,
Yeah. What do you got for us, Sean? What's news?
News? I don't know. I was trying to listen to you on the way home. Working the BAM stuff, and that's fun. It's a neat experience. If anyone ever gets the opportunity to help out with the tournament,
Yeah.
People should give it a try. I think besides BAM, I think BBT was looking for people as well. I think that was posted on social media.
they did. I don't know because they were just here at Berryessa and they just did a marina release. They didn't actually have a boat to release fish.
Yeah, some places don't have the boats, but it's all
But
good.
then you would still end up needing people to work the bags, people to work
Yep.
the cars,
The tanks, yeah.
Yeah, set up and put down stuff. Yeah. So
I will tell you though, that BAM, they put out a 30-pound bag on Berryessa, or that BBT. There was
They
two
should-
30-pound bags caught.
They should be. They should be fishing really good right now.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Everything should be fishing pretty good right now. If you could get over the funk, they should be fishing really good. So, question for you, Sean.
Shoot it.
You're probably you're essentially tournament grandpa out of the both of us. How do you feel about payouts? Because I'm pretty sure you've seen the BAM payout structure,
I like
which
them.
is so. Your take on it? Do you think it's good to pay that far down? Do you think it's better to reward the guys that actually win? What's your take on it, sir?
I mean, some people like their little participation ribbons, like you kind of mentioned. It all depends on the entry fee, honestly. For instance, like let's just say if James changed Yakabas to 1 out of 5, like holy smokes! Like, all right, here is your top 24
or top 50.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right, taking home $63 in 24th place. It's like,
hey, that's like 10th place now. Come on.
It's like, come on, It's I get it, but because a lot of the boats will do like the 1 in 5 and stuff like that, but the entries are a little bit higher, and you kind of just get your money back with, maybe you're gonna stop for a burger and some fries on the way back,
or a burrito.
It all depends, because if the payback's based off of entry fees and there's no additional money being put forth by like sponsors or something, which is kind of rare these days, then yeah, it's cool for those like, man, I had a shitty day, but these other guys just tore them up. They put their time in on the water. The whole pre-fish thing, we go back to last week. These guys were pre-fishing, 7 days straight, and they got it dialed in, but they only took home, say first place, $1,200, $1,500. It's like, wow, was it really worth it? Yeah, it's fun. You get to hang out with the boys and gals, whoever you're fishing against. That's all good times and stuff. But, this isn't like some pro tour kind of deal, things like that. But, it's nice when you get first place, you get that plaque, you get a good check. You could, tell your significant other, hey, look what I got this time, honey. You're always buying stuff all the time. What are you buying now? Tackle Warehouse came.
I mean,
Max doesn't have that issue, I don't think.
Running out the front door.
I don't. But I mean, if you want, Sean, we could print fake checks for you and just give them to you, and you can just take it to your wife every time.
I know, right? Hey, look, I got more, but the credit card's up. $500. Whatever.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, dear. No. I'm not. No.
I don't. It goes. You can look at it different ways. I think a cool, interesting way to do it would be, what if you split it? What if it was a 1 out of 7 payback?
That'd be weird. That'd be kind of, I would want to see that, what the numbers come out to be.
I'm saying everybody does 1 in 5, and you're just like, wow, we're really stretching it out. Hey, thanks for coming out. Cool. Your entry fee was $100. Here's $110. You're like, well, got my money back. You know, well, had a
I
fun
think
day
it's-
in the water. Took a cool picture of me holding a fish. Like, I don't know. It's fun. I mean, I'm not saying that I personally do it just for the money, but I think the ones who had a good day on the water, who have earned it, should get a fair reward, I would say.
So you're leaning on the sides of it should be closer to that 1 in 10, as in the guys that do well should be rewarded.
It works for Yak Bass just because of the entry fee.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool. Even the people that get, say we had 100 and going, even like person that gets 10th, they're still getting a decent little something back. It's not, if you stretch that out to your top 20, then it's cool. You paid $60. Here's $64. All right, and 19th place, $68. The scale is really kind of jumbled up until you get to the top, but then your top anglers, then they get kind of a decent payout depending on the format they're using for their paybacks. But honestly, I would be curious to see what like a 1 in 7 would look like, or a 1 in 8 or something would look like in a payback. Just to those guys, because I know a lot of people have been like, I was right there. I just missed getting a check,
I've been there before. I have been in that spot before. Where you're
all been there.
Well, no, that's seriously. Delta in, I think, 2019. David Borofka beat me by big fish. Same score, everything. He just beat me by, I think, the big fish. That was it. And I'm like, well, I was just 1 out, and that was back when I still paddled.
I don't know. I think everybody has their different opinions. Argument could go either way.
Yeah.
There you go. Thanks, Steven.
Everybody's right and everybody's wrong.
Exactly.
Yep.
There's no winning this. If Matthew was on, it'd be a different story.
Then everybody'd be wrong.
He always brings up a good discussion. Good argument.
Well, and that's why it's where like I was saying earlier, it goes down to, well, I am a competitor. This is a competitive environment or a competitive event. I should be rewarded for my competitive efforts, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I get Matthew's, take on it, because Matthew is a competitor. He wants to compete and be rewarded for his competitive effort. So, if it's not worth his competitive effort, then it almost feels like there's no point in him signing up, because there's almost nothing at risk, almost kind of is what it kind of boils down to on the competitive side of it. Yeah. And then obviously it also goes on the other way as well, where you want more retention. So you kind of have to pay deeper down into the field, because more you pay out, the higher the odds the guys will return to fish, because they have some sort of incentive to possibly cash a check.
Yeah.
Not everybody's as good as catching them as Matthew. So
we've also seen it when they stack first place too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then a lot of guys weren't happy about that as well.
I'm not a fan of that, but I guarantee you the guy who won it loved it.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of stacking first place, because it looks good on paper when you got the whole flyer, your little thing up saying first place, $10,000, $5,000. Yeah, but
so what are you calling out the West Coast Championship?
No, that was That was California Bass Nation.
That was
Oh,
a while back, a few years back.
And that was
Had a
the
minute.
that was the wild card event, which basically everybody was like, "Oh my god, it's 10,000," and
That's cool.
it drops down to $100.
You're just like,
So
hey,
guys weren't happy
hey,
about it.
just fish harder, you know. But that's just one of those things. Just like, ugh. But I don't know.
So there's never a perfect. I don't think there's ever really a perfect system. You
No.
know?
There isn't.
Because guys that are on the lower echelon will always be upset about the guys that always cash a check and they don't cash a check, and then same vice versa. The guys that always cash a check or do well competitively or have that competitive edge, you know, through years of fishing, you know, and just understanding what the fish are doing, those guys are gonna always be upset about the lower guys that catch a check even though their effort was lackluster. Is basically what it boils down to. So it will never be happy.
Nope.
Yep. It is all about ROI, and that varies angler by angler. Yep, nothing wrong with it. Everybody's right and everybody's wrong.
There you go. Abel, why don't you jump on, dude?
Do you want to jump on, Abel? Anybody that wants to jump on, I'll send the link. Hit me up in the messages
Abel always has some good stuff to say.
or post a comment. If anybody wants to jump on. I always send these two guys the link because it sure seems like they just enjoy hanging out with me on Wednesdays.
We do.
So now it's just a normal thing. Anybody can still jump on.
And
It's not
unless the tides look good, then I'm jumping on Wednesdays. But if the tides look good, I'm gonna be fishing for sturgeon. So
There you go. Double shot.
oh geez.
Hey, what does he sleep?
That's why it's the after dark show, man.
Hey, how about this, Max? So you brought up a question about baits, and you mentioned about the water coming up, temperatures coming up. Let's talk about baits. Let's talk about what should be happening here pretty soon.
I mean, to
time
be complete.
is going to happen soon. Water's coming
to-
up, temps coming up.
To be completely honest, starting from now until the end of May, you could probably just go around and fish a wacky Cinco from now until the end of May, and you would do just fine.
Sinkos don't work,
Yeah, you can't use Ninkos.
especially
But-
that Pedro. Those don't work.
Yeah. But you asked, so I'm gonna give my honest opinion. It doesn't matter where you go across California. From now, basically until the end of May, Cinco is hard to beat. I mean, it extends further than that, of course, as it extends further than that past May and so on and so forth. But May for me personally, May is when I start cutting it off and I start fishing, say a topwater, or I start fishing other lures that it's more fun for me. Not that a Cinco is not fun. It's just, I'd rather start doing other things. Throwing a walking bait.
You want a reaction
throwing
bait.
throwing a frog or throwing a spinner bait early in the morning when the shad spawn already happening. But that's down the road more. But that's just me.
That's you. I like it.
But like I say, realistically, you could just fish a Cinco. A Cinco and a creature bait will get you through the next 2 months if you want to just catch fish. Quite frankly,
Depending on where you are, yes, I agree.
yeah. But for the most part, those two you can carry those two the entire next couple months, in my opinion. You could
100%.
do other
yes.
things. Yeah, you could do other things. You could drop shot, or say a flick shake, right? Just other ways to rig a wacky Cinco of some sort. But the next 2 months, you'll be fine throwing a Cinco.
Yep.
You just have to find the right areas, of course. But you could just keep going until you get bit.
I agree.
So
Yeah.
you tell me to bring this up, and what are you going to give, Sean? You got to give us something.
Yeah. What's
I want to backtrack from the weekend. Just stuff you think about. I always think about after the tournament, the coulda, shouldas. Maybe this, maybe that. I had. Oh, what's that fella? Romel.
what's up, Romel?
Romel.
We got Gary Watson.
A lot of guys on there, huh? So one of the things I was thinking about, besides, I had a flutter spoon throughout practice, even during tournament day, on me.
Mhm.
I didn't throw it. Who knows? And the situation's set up perfect for it. We're finding schools at Bass like 50 to 100 in a school,
Yes.
and they're just,
Even more than that
oh yeah,
in certain spots.
yeah, that one area by the one spot at the,
Yeah.
We know that spot. So we're saving that for next year. Well, one thing I should have thrown, and it was set up for it. I don't know if you guys saw it too. A Carolina rig.
I threw it.
Yeah.
I threw the Carolina rig.
the back of these little creek channels, like hugging the bottom.
Yep.
And I did not throw it, and I kind of wish I would have. But.
So I'll tell you why I didn't throw the Carolina rig.
Why did you throw the Carolina rig?
So what I found on Pedro, the reason why I didn't throw the Carolina rig was very simply because the bigger fish were on your ledges.
Okay.
And so I threw it. Don't get me wrong. I threw it on those ledges because me and Sean met each other. I did throw it, but I didn't catch the fish I wanted to on it. But essentially, the bigger fish were right on the edge of the breaks on those long tapering points. Obviously, if you're talking about in the back of creek channels, there was fish in the wood and in the middle of the creek channels and so on and so forth. However, it seemed like those fish that were in the back of the creek channels were feeding on bait. I'm sorry. They were feeding on bait more so than they were, say, spawning in the timber. There was fish spawning in the timber, but for the majority of them, they were actively schooling fish that were feeding. Not to say you couldn't get them to go. The area that I was fishing was more offshore, and all the better fish were on the edges. What I should have been throwing was either an LB500 or a 10XD, 6XD, some sort of crankbait is what I should have been throwing. Different area, different application. Where me and Sean saw each other on Don Pedro, it was a deep hole. It was the very butt end of the creek channel before it splits, and there was a deep hole in there, and the fish were using that deep hole as kind of like their last staging point before they pushed into the spawning base or up the creek channel. So that's why I was throwing it. I did throw it on that specific day. They didn't really want it. It was more of a dead stick bite. Dead stick shake. You throw it up shallow, let the fish push up and get it.
Right.
For me. Yeah. So that's why I didn't throw it. But it will be deadly, as Mr. Gary Watson says. Specifically, also the California rig.
Yeah.
Where our good old buddy Damien Tao.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Well,
How you doing, Romel? Sorry, Sean.
no.
How you doing, Romel? I see you in the comments. How you hanging up, Romel?
Oh, bro. I know. Come on, you got to jump on, Romel. We had a good little conversation the other night that he should probably bring up here. It'd be nice.
That's something that guys don't throw much
Hey.
anymore. It's a split shot.
That's old school, brother.
Yeah.
Caught a lot of fish split shot. We used to split shot old magic worms. The magic worm was hand poured worms, before like robo worm and all of them.
So
That was fun.
So I used to split shot as well, but I have found that the free rig has kind of taken over the split shot for me. As in, it kind of does the same thing, kind of, sort of. So
Yeah.
That's kind of where, do you have a split shot tied on, or do I have a free rig tied on? Because it kind of does the same thing, almost.
Right.
We got one more.
Oh, there's a flying.
Whoa.
Flying
There's a
kid.
flying kid.
Ah,
Secret bait for Pedro.
Who's secret bait? Ours?
He's yelling at you for
Fine.
sharing the
Right.
secret bait.
well, what about
And
this?
to tie into what you guys were saying, I thought the same thing about the Carolina rig. I didn't have one rigged, but I threw a brush hog on a free rig, and they just would not bite it. And then I noticed a few fish chasing bait, so that's another reason why I started throwing an underspin.
Okay.
So just
Yeah.
jump in and chime my 2 cents on the factor.
Babies
Abe,
are
I
not
thought you were going to
bait.
bed.
Yeah, I thought Abel was sleeping.
They are great bait. They
Great.
make weird noises and it attracts the fish, and then they just grab them and throw them at you.
There you go.
But yeah, it's worm season. It really is. It's also glide bait season.
For sure.
Yeah.
Let's- Well, what about? Oh, go ahead, Steve-O.
I think it's whatever lands in front of one that's willing to bite season.
There you go.
Whether it be a jig, a Cinco, a glide bait, it don't matter.
Anybody get them on an A rig?
I only got one on an A rig, and it was a micro A rig, actually.
I didn't even throw.
Anybody? So I'll give you guys a little bit of what I figured out on Sunday. So fun fact, the fish were pushing up trout onto the points by the marina.
Yeah.
Well, the boat ramp, Fleming's boat ramp on the points. And they had all the trout schooled up on the shallow point in about 15, 20 foot of water. And they were sitting there on the deep edge, just keeping those schools of trout against that point. And every now and then you'll see them push up and they would scatter that school of trout really quickly. But then you also see another school of, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 pounders on the opposite side of that point, kind of basically corral a bunch of trout onto this one point. I didn't get any fish to go on that point. I threw the big bait at them, but typically with those fish, it's always a timing deal.
Yeah, definitely is.
Yeah, but they're keyed in on big baits. There's not too much small baits where on the main lake stuff. Obviously creek channels, where the water's coming from. Obviously, there's probably more bait there.
Reed.
Yeah, because I know
treasure.
moccasin for me was the opposite. Towards the end of the day, I went through 3 packs of Kitex. It was just fish after fish after fish. I just couldn't cull. They just got hungry and they were on small bait because I was throwing a 3.3.
Yeah.
Yes, Anthony, you can use an A rig year round, depending on where you throw it and what size weights you have on for your jig heads.
And in the Delta, shallow.
Yeah, you could throw it on the Delta.
Got to rig them a little different.
Weedless.
You can.
And
You
clearly,
could definitely fish it. You could definitely fish an A rig year round. I don't like throwing an A rig past the pre-spawn. That's just me. Past the pre-spawn spawn kind of phase, I stick the A rig away, and then I start cranking. Take the LV out, the LV 500 out, that's kind of where I make the switch. But it always works.
Yeah, today would have been perfect if you were going to throw an A rig all day.
But that being
Because-
said, though, it may not be the key like winning pattern, but
No.
you can still catch fish on it. Is probably the better way to say it. Yeah. Oh yeah.
See, that's how you catch fish right there.
He gets his
That's the
cartoons right now.
new hydro wave.
The new hydro wave.
I don't have that.
You don't got that. You don't got that one anywhere, Sean.
No, I don't have that setting on mine.
If anybody knows anything about throwing an A rig, it's Gary Watson. Yeah. Pre-spawn is the last for Gary Watson to throw an A rig, and then it's a top water and LV.
You
So-
can throw them during the shad spawn too,
Don't
and they
let
work really well.
him do.
At least here at my home lake, because a lot of those big bass will just follow.
Post spawn. Shat spawn. Post spawn typically means shat spawn.
Yeah.
That being said, also a fun fact for you guys. I
Facts.
saw some fish that were spawned out on Pedro. And then there was fish fry.
Oh, first wave.
My big fish was spawned out.
Mhm. So there was a certain buoy on the main lake that there was fry sitting around the buoy, which Sean probably doesn't want me to talk about.
Nope.
I'm
But
actually
yeah,
gonna go finish editing all my GoPro footage. So those people who are fortunate enough to watch it might see some stuff, which I was surprised this early in the year that there was a certain bite there. I was very surprised.
yes, sir. There are shallow cruisers at Pedro already.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's plenty of
100%.
Yeah, plenty of shallow cruisers. I personally, I launched out of moccasins. These guys launched mainly more, but
No, I was in moccasin with you.
or yeah, sorry, Isaiah was in
But-
moccasin as well.
I was moccasin.
I didn't go to
Yeah.
the little secondary lake, I'm gonna call it, that everybody else went to. I went up the river. So
Yes, but essentially there was fish all over the moccasin bay, cove,
Yeah.
whatever you call it, that were shallow cruising, up and down the bank. The
There was a
your
lot.
smaller fish, yeah, but there's definitely cruises at Pedro already.
Yeah. We Isaiah and I spent a lot of days up there for practice.
What's your biggest fish that was high flying in the water column? You need to reword that.
you mean suspended?
The biggest we caught that was up in the column. In 30 foot of water, but we caught it in 1 foot of water.
ESL? ELS?
We need some clarification there, Dom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please clarify.
More during. He was probably driving like me, and he's like, "I got a question." He's like, "Oh, there's stuff."
He just says, yeah. So I'm assuming he's saying the biggest fish in how high up in the water column. Biggest fish in high water.
Mine was only 16 3/4, and it was not even just suspended over water. It was suspended over a tree.
Is he talking about like just overall or
Suspending over 45 feet in like 5 feet of water. I think he's talking about really high cruising fish that suspended over
just
or
overall?
deep water. Yeah, overall.
I'm not going to answer this question.
I mean,
I know why.
yeah.
Uh,
I mean,
2 feet.
If
over-
you're referring to biggest fish in general and not just this past weekend, the biggest fish that I've caught was 10. That was really hype in the water column. I'm talking about like in a foot of water over 25 feet of water. But yeah,
there you go.
that's
Good
a different story. Yeah. I feel like this is more so directed towards Sean and Isaiah.
I was beating the bank, so I mean, I found one suspended fish, so I want to answer that, but I also don't.
You want to answer, but you also don't.
Yeah, there's a certain podcast you should go listen to. I'll just say that.
Yep. Yeah.
So
I've been throwing top water since January.
Yeah.
I'll put it this
I'll
way.
say that. Not all day long, but I will throw it throughout the day. Either a spook or a lunker punker.
Do you have any question for you, Sean? Do you have any old lunker punkers? Like old
Yeah.
wood? You
Yeah.
do?
Yeah.
Do you want to part ways?
You need some, Max?
Do you want to part ways?
No.
Oh, hold on. He's getting his. Hold on. Let him get the dust off the box first.
I'll make you an offer. I'll make you an offer you can't refuse.
Uh-oh. Hey, he's doing it live, too, so.
I have one somewhere. I don't know where it's at. I had it.
Oh, you got to look for it under all the dust.
I have
That-
3 in the garage.
That's typically code for I don't want to sell it. So
Yeah.
Sell.
Yeah.
No way.
coldest I've caught one thrown at top water
No more.
was 52. Coldest I'd seen somebody catch a topwater fish was 48.
50.
I don't personally bring them when the water is below 60 degrees, but it's something I started playing with this year that I will be I bring them, even if it's just a couple.
Yeah.
Not
Work it
here,
really
but
slow.
I've caught them in low 40s. But
Yeah.
not in California.
That's why it's tied on still. Eh?
So did you
Oh,
want to
it's like
sell it?
the Mega Dog.
Oh,
It's like the
Uh,
Mega Dog.
No, that's
It's
a punker.
that's
it's not like the Mega Dog at all, but
It's-
Well,
yes.
it's way smaller. It's got the same profile.
it's got the same. Oh, this thing's big. Like
It's an 8-inch.
There's a
It's
lake
either-
up north that works really well at.
yeah, it's pretty close.
It-
to just
It's big or your hands are just really small.
Sean's got small hands.
both. Oh, that's the original.
You never answered my question though. Are you willing to part ways with it?
What was that?
He wants
With
to buy it off
delivery.
you, Sean.
No, it's not for sale. No way, Jose.
Yeah, see, told you guys.
Oh, hey, I love that thing, dude. It's the time they spent to make those, and like, it's just dialed in. Like, it's such a cool bait. Like, oh shit, just like all the little just details on it and stuff. Hand carved. It's weighted like perfect. It's got this cool walk action. You know, it's pretty sweet.
I have
There's
3,
a
but I'm
lake you
scared to throw them.
passed. Oh, go ahead.
I
See,
said I have 3 of them, but I'm scared to throw them. I spent too much money to possibly lose them.
yeah, but they float though. So if you cast it off, just go pick it up.
Yeah, true. But then that's more work.
I lost a pretty cool bait that was a topwater bait. It's in Comanche somewhere.
I've probably been picked up by now.
It's almost like an AC plug minnow looking. What the heck is it called? I'm really disappointed I lost it. It's on a fish. It was on a fish too.
Oh,
Camden.
And I sat there
Wow.
for an hour waiting for it to pop up, and it never came back up.
Well,
Yeah.
cool story. I don't think you guys know this, but during our team event on Folsom, I actually dropped a rod.
What?
Yeah, I dropped a rod in the water during that team event on the spot I was sitting on.
Was that where I saw you when you were sitting on that spot? Is that where you dropped it?
Yeah,
Oh,
I dropped it right. I dropped it right there, and I continued fishing. And by the end of the day, I caught the rod back and I put it back in my rod holder.
Yeah.
Oh, you got it back.
Yeah,
That reminds me of the story a buddy did that. We were on Berryessa, we're cruising in like 100 feet of water, and I'm like, "Hey, you're missing a rod." He goes, "No, I'm not." And I go, "Turn around." I'm like, "All right, hang on a minute. Let me throw out first cast, throw it out, let this rattle trap sink all the way to the bottom." I hooked the rod, and I'm like, "Dude, you owe me."
that's funny.
I'm all, "You're lucky you get this rod back." I'm like, "It's mine."
Max has one in Rodman too.
I do have one in Rodman, but the water's too high to go get it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Currently, the water's
you
too
ain't.
high.
No, that rod's gone.
Nope. Oh, Abel has a Hinkle Shat to sell me.
Ooh.
That's another good bait.
So my question to you, Abel, is: are you selling to me at eBay prices, or are you selling to me at what you got it for?
What's your marker?
The friend's price.
Yeah, because if you're selling to me for eBay prices, I'm not gonna buy it.
Well, hey, who's going to? Oh, what do you guys think about this?
We can't talk about Clear Lake, Sean.
Yeah, we can't talk about Clear Lake. It's
Oh,
in the
We
rules.
started to. It got shot down.
Oh, let's talk about Folsom then. Oh, Don.
Anybody want to take this real quick?
I'm not a
6
fan of any 6 cents baits.
Yeah,
The hangover is garbage.
there you go.
Watch YouTube videos of the underwater action, and you will see why.
There you go.
The tail doesn't kick; it kind of just rolls over.
Yeah, he's right. He's right.
You're better off getting the new Z-Man line through.
There you go.
My opinion is it'll work just fine, but you just have to know how to fish it. As in, just like with all swim baits, there's a certain cadence where it kicks, and like all swim baits, that certain cadence will work under certain scenarios. So, like for example, when Clear Lake was really hot, obviously this I don't know if I can talk about it.
I wouldn't.
Yeah. But anyways, when the hollow bellied swim baits came out, there's a certain cadence to fish them. Same with a mag draft. There's a certain cadence to fish them. And the hangover also has a certain cadence that you have to fish them. So at the end of the day, it's very similar to mist trolling, right? Where there's a certain cadence to get them to go, as in how fast you need to pull it away from before they trigger on it. Or there's sometimes where you have to just hang it over them and it triggers them. So my opinion is, for some guys, yes, it doesn't swim right because they're reeling it too slow. So it does a wobble and it wanders and the tail doesn't really kick. So it doesn't perform proper. And then there's also the certain times where if you reel it fast enough, it kicks right and it triggers fish. So
I mean, this is the first one I'm talking about. I don't know if they've changed the mold or changed something to make the action different now.
well, I have the originals as well.
Okay.
Their first release. The slow sync plus the fast sync, and it just like I said, it's just like your mag draft. You know, it's the right cadence.
Yeah, mag draft, and I noticed that my buddy just got some Bass Mafia. Those
Zao dangerous.
I think so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I threw them out there. I was fishing slow; it doesn't kick. But I started speeding it up. I'm like, okay, this is a little faster working swim bait.
Yes.
I'm all perfect because this will work at certain places where I want to use it.
Yeah, because I believe the 316 rising. Sorry.
the Zelt Dangerous one is the same thing as the mag draft.
Yeah. But Isaiah was just saying his cadence has to pick up a little bit
Yeah,
to get it to swim.
Because a mag draft I can fish really slow and still feel it thumping. That Bass Mafia bait, I fish it slow, you can't feel it at all. But as soon as you pick up the speed, you can start feeling the vibration from the tail kicking.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's all about cadence.
Cadence.
It's just like the burritos are really not meant to slow roll.
Yeah. Like a buka
Elite
burrito.
prices.
I'm good,
There's-
Abel.
There's your answer.
At Bassmaster Elite prices.
I am good, Abel. I am also of the tactical bass opinion. I'll just buy whatever that I could easily access and it's cheap. So that if I break it off or I ding it off a dock and it breaks in half, I could go to Tackle Warehouse and buy another one tomorrow. Or go
So
to
Savage Gear.
yeah. I'll throw whatever
they
that's
work.
easy to get. Yeah. Sorry,
Does
Tom,
Abel
though,
have
you
a
were trying to
fleece
say
pad to
something
sell?
earlier?
Oh, I totally forgot. I don't know. No, I was
Also,
get you guys' opinion on. So let's talk about Folsom because it's a safe place. We could talk about Folsom. Let's just talk about different like approach for this time. You know, it's let's say 5th. It's like 17 days away. You know, we know water's gonna be coming up most likely. We're gonna have some wood. Well, it fluctuates. It'll come
No,
back.
they're dropping it fast.
And so if it fluctuates, the water level fluctuates like my toilet bowl in the morning. Okay. It's gonna go up, go down. You know, you're gonna get some debris in there and it's gonna get flushed out. You know? So there's gonna be cover. There's gonna be rocks. There's gonna be some sticks, some other brush, rock piles, stuff like that. What are you guys gonna do this time of year when you're approaching the body of water in practice, tournament day, whatever? Are you going to start out deep, work your way in? You're going to start maybe target staging areas. You're going to start throwing your reaction baits, rip bait, chatterbait, or something like that. Work your way to the back, get finessey. How are you guys going to approach basically the first event for Yak Bass? Possibly, not giving out all your secret info or something, but
me personally, I'm probably gonna start with a square bill.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go beat the bank square bill.
Yeah.
If nothing, then I'll slow down, finesse a little bit. If nothing, then I'll move out deep. Because there should be a lot of fish shallow anyway.
Yeah. Any particular areas you're going to target? Are you going to, for instance, like the northern coves that are going to be protected, northwestern, northeastern coves that are going to be protected, stuff like that, staging areas, long tape stuff?
I would be probably just the back of coves, and then I would work towards the points, and then staging areas.
Okay.
I'm in the same boat. I'd start I'd fish the same areas.
Okay. Are you going?
But the baits I'm going to throw are a little different.
Are you going to start on the points, or are you going to start in the back, work your way out?
Normally, I'll start on the points and work my way back to look for spawning fish. Depending on what the temperature comes in the next 17 days, and if we do get a warming strain, which right now it's kind of cool, everything's cooling off, and the night temperatures are getting cold again. So those fish may push off and go back to their staging areas and looking for those secondary points.
All right.
I'm gonna let you go first, Sean.
Damn you, Max. So my thing, I always start on the outside and work my way in. Depending on the scenario, of course. Usually I start on the points, work my way in. Reason being is if those fish are in the backs of the coves, I don't want to start in the very back, because I've had fish in the past either be on the points I found them halfway back or just inside the points or halfway back in the coves. And I don't want to spook those fish. If anything, I want to slowly work my way in. I'm using my electronic stuff like that. I don't know about you guys. When I approach points, I don't hit them straight on. Either come in like
I come in at an angle.
I should have drew it out. Like I'm casting my bait out to different deeper water, and I'm bringing it up. My opinion about that is, if you're doing some kind of shad pattern bait or something, glide, even if you're throwing like glide bait, something like that. I don't want, if there's fish up on that point, some big girls sunning or something, I don't want to pull them out to deeper water. It'll take longer for those fish, in my opinion, to go back and reset if they even do. But it looks, those bigger fish are like wise fish, in my opinion. They're not, it doesn't seem more natural to me for them to be chasing a fish out up in open water. The only thing that's stopping them is the surface of the water, chase the bait up or something. It just seems more natural for me, especially this time of year. A lot of the trout are cruising that shoreline. I know at Shasta, they're up there trying to spawn. I have a buddy that lives up there that those trout are moving up the creeks to spawn the rainbows, at least. The German brown's a whole other thing. It just seems like a natural predator-like reaction for him to chase the bait, whatever, up shallow. They're gonna push him up on the bank, rock pile, whatever, and attack the bait. That's how I approach my points. Then I'll cast across the points. I try not to bring the stuff out to deeper water. Even when I'm throwing a jig, pulling my bait out to deeper water, it's just working it. You end up kind of lifting it up off the bottom a lot more and stuff, unless you're free spooling it every once in a while. I'm gonna hit my points with glide bait, jerk bait, maybe a crankbait or something as well. I'm gonna slowly start working my way back, paying attention to my electronics. Have Senko on the standby. As I start working my way back in the cove, that's when I start firing out my Senko or whatever forward-facing bait, like my sonar minnow. I'll throw that in front of me and stuff, and I'll count down maybe 2 Californias. 1 California, 2 California. See, I don't count Mississippi. We ain't been in Mississippi. Cast out, let it fall down. 1 California. Yeah, I know, right? 1 California, 2 Californias, then I'm casting it, and I'm just doing it in front of me as I'm scanning around looking for cruiser, something like that. Or I'm firing that Senko in front of me as I'm working my way back to the cove. Hopefully I got like a goal in the back of that cove. There's like a bush, some kind of stick up or something, maybe a lay down or something that's there. And I want to keep firing away at that. And I don't plan on fishing deeper than maybe 35 feet, because I think we all know that not all bass spawn at the same time. There's different phases and stuff. We've already seen post-spawn fish at Don P already. So, I mean, the spawn's going to go on for a while. Fish will be in different phases. Maybe we'll get those kayak specials and get those post-spawn skinny long fish. But that's how I'm approaching stuff. I'm going to get stuff kind of fast, and as I'm working my way back, I'm tossing in front of me Senko, forward-facing bait, something like that. Then
I agree on your depth, because some of my local ponds, I've seen them spawn in 30 to 40 feet still.
Oh yeah, I've seen spotted bass all the way down to like 15, maybe almost 20 feet, depending on water clarity and stuff. I mean, they're sure acting like spawning and stuff.
I will keep it extremely simple. You don't even have to pay attention to backup pockets. You don't even have to pay attention to points. Just fish cover. That's what I'm going to be doing. Is just fishing cover, fishing brush. It doesn't matter whether It doesn't matter whether it's in the back of a pocket or it's in the back of a spawning bay on the point.
Yeah.
I would just target brush, from now, because no matter what, whether it's for me personally, the way I see it, right, is whether it's on the main lake point where the spotted bass are going to spawn on that brush, or say like a rock pile that's on that main lake point, or whether it's all the way in the back of a pocket where a largemouth is going to spawn on the brush, or near and around the brush. Regardless, if you just stick to the simple process of targeting brush piles or brush in general, there's going to be fish on it just because they're going to make their beds in and around brush so that the fry could congregate onto those brush on Folsom. For the guys that have been to Folsom, it's pretty bare. It's pretty open water outside of the brush piles. There's ditches and small ledges and rock piles, but for the most part, it's pretty bare. There's really nowhere for those fry to really hide except in the brush if the water's high. So, I would just target brush and keep it super simple. Stay less than, I'm going to stay less than 30 feet of water and just target brush from 30 feet all the way up to, inches, because there'll be fish in inches this time of the year. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
I keep it very simple. If you start catching them in the back, run around to the back and find the brush piles in the back. If you don't see any brush piles, continue to fish brush piles on main lake and wood that's on main lake, leading into spawning bays. I would just focus on wood right now. Me personally.
The bedding fish that I found at Pedro this weekend were on brush or grass.
Yep.
So I keep it very simple. That's also because I don't get a chance to practice. Now, if I get to practice, I would be looking for pre-spawners. Pre-spawners, whether in the ditches, whether on ledges, whether it's still pre-spawn winter fish, as in fish that are still coming out of the winter haunts. I would be looking for those fish if I had a chance to actually get out there and look for those fish. But
I got a question for you guys. How do you guys target your cruisers?
Go ahead, Sean. You're the one that doesn't want to give up juice. Say it, Sean.
How many people do we have watching right now, Max?
We only got like 5 guys. Don't worry.
Perfect. Okay.
5 guys right now.
Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 already.
Yeah. It's 4 of us plus 1 guy in the background.
Cruiser,
Don't comment anything, people.
Cruiser, I will go with a Senko, either 5-inch or 4-inch, for my cruisers, or I want to go with a weightless worm. And that could be a variety of different worms. Any kind of like finessey, like 4-inch worm, totally weightless. Doesn't have to be a Senko. It could be even a plain robo worm. Weightless. It's a pain in the ass. It's something I've done since I was like in junior high. If you could, you're gonna have to use, your light line and stuff, and you're gonna have to be firing out in front and keep a low profile. I'll turn all electronics off. I don't want the extra noise and all that stuff. And that's when I'm using. Senko, I'll do the 4-inch, specifically the 4-inch Texas rigged, because you can cast it farther. I can cast it further than when it's wacky, because when it's wacky, you'll kind of do the little helicopter thing, and you're like, man. Then you get Texas rig, and you can fire that thing out there, way out there, because if you see a bass cruising in front of you, most likely there's other bass cruising around there as well. And I'll fire that thing out there and just watch the line, and that's about it. That's my cruising, pretty much.
Isaiah.
I just fish for Wacky Rig Cinco. I'll see them cruising in the grass and back off of it and come back to it like 10, 15 minutes later and normally catch them that way. I don't turn my electronics off. I don't think it makes a difference.
I fish hard baits. If I'm, I'll fish a Cinco. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with targeting cruisers with a Cinco. But I'll target cruisers with a jerk bait or a lipless, a lipless LV500. Typically, those cruising fish, if they're going to eat pretty quickly. So you really don't have to really finesse them, which is why when you fish a Cinco, right, you throw it out there, and if they see it, they just run to it, and your line just starts swimming away. There is a time where it is a Cinco bite, of course, but I could also target those same fish with some sort of hard bait, whether it's a jerk bait or LV500 lipless. But on a tournament day, fish a Cinco for those cruising fish, in my opinion.
So
Steven?
I throw a dart head, a light dart head, small worm, or a ball head Keitech.
Yeah, that's another good one. Underspin would.
Underspin too. It really depends on water clarity for me, or if there's any wind. It's to me it's almost like a chatterbait. You kind of want the wind for an underspin. You want that little bit of chop in the water, but you don't always have to have it. I've caught them the calmest day, no wind, sunny, still on an underspin. But they'll either want one or the other. But I normally start with the ball head, and then if they don't want the ball head, then I'll switch to an underspin.
Ramel's asking, for the non-spot lock motor guys, how do you keep your kayak in position?
Can I start?
He always sees guys complaining about not having spot lock.
Buy a Hobie 360. Done.
I would say that I just throw an anchor because I had to this past tournament. But the anchor that I bought was too small, so I was getting drugged from 5 foot out to 30 feet. So I didn't stay in position at all. But it actually kind of helped my bite because when I would finally stop, the wind was still blowing good, and they were on an underspin bite for me. So I could just fan cast whatever way, and then they would pick it up. But normally I would just use the spot lock.
I either nose into the wind or put the tail and my stern into the wind. And even though I don't have the reverse lockout for my 180, if you set it at 3% or 5%, it's just enough to keep you in the same spot. And then I'll use my drive to go side to keep me from side to side.
That's
For me, it's very simple.
When I was on the native, that's how I would have to do it. I would either bump the NK just barely and face the wind, or I would just use the pedal drive and just constantly pedal in the wind and make adjustments with the rudder.
For me, it's very simple. Keep your face in the wind and keep pedaling or keep paddling into the wind.
Pedal.
That's the easiest way to stay
Paddle.
in one spot. If you don't have an anchor, obviously. And then if you have a kayak that does have a pedal drive and you're just paddling, same thing. Stick your face in the wind and then keep paddling to stay on place.
Yep.
Agree.
Understand, use your land geographics to see whether or not you're drifting forward or back, because you could tell when essentially as you paddle, you gain forward momentum, and you could very easily see when you're not moving forward anymore and you're at a standstill, and then that's when you're going to get pushed back. So you just need to maintain that constant forward or balance.
For the guys that don't have the boat control down, what I recommend, go somewhere where there's current and practice. If you're going forward or reverse, every haul is different. I'll tell you, my new canoe I have, my Frontier, acts more like a boat, and when I'm in current, it'll actually nose into it, and I actually don't have to move very much or give it any kick or paddle at all. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't done the Hobie in heavy current yet, so I can't tell you on that.
Yeah, but it's the micro adjustments if you want to stay in position. You gotta be in tune with how much your boat is drifting whichever direction, and you have to have those micro adjustments in order to maintain where you want to be.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. Back to the wind or current motor in reverse. Foot pedal steer. Ramel's, essentially that's the same thing. Yeah. You guys you just have to understand how much current is pushing you away from the spot you want to be on, and you have to just counterbalance that with whether it's a motor, your paddle or your pedal. You have to understand that, and there's no science to it because the wind blows however hard or the current rips however hard on any given day. You just have to go do it. Yeah. Unfortunately.
The easiest way to tell is, I'm pretty sure everyone's graph tells mile an hour. If you're facing the wind and you're at 0 for your mile an hour, you're holding in one spot. If you start seeing your mile an hour creep up slowly, then okay, I got to kick a little more to make it go back to 0 and get back to where I was.
Or you also have to pay attention to whether you're going up and you're moving forward, or if you're going up in mile an hour and you're going backwards. You have to pay attention to that as well. Yeah.
That's when paying attention to your landmarkers, like you would say.
Yeah.
That's when you have to
or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's when you have to pay attention to your landmarks to see whether you're drifting back, north, east, south, whichever direction you are, and you would have to correct from there. Information. Are you guys big on getting information about areas?
Which one? What area?
Define information, because
what lakes?
information's at your fingertips with the phone.
What lakes?
Let's just say, are you guys big on looking up fishing reports? Let's just say you have a tournament on Folsom.
Yeah.
Are you guys big on gathering information for Folsom? Not pre-fishing, but like actually calling people, reading fishing reports, maybe watching YouTube videos.
I'll go into it so far, and I'll watch videos, but those are past bites. They're not currently what's happening on the lake. So it's an idea to keep in the back of your head.
Absolutely.
The best way to do it is time on the water.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So let's say I haven't been on Folsom, all that. We have, I think I said it before, there's a ton of resources out there. My preference, of course, is just going through RB Bass, hit the little search thing and say Folsom Lake. We have a tournament coming up into March, so I would be looking at reports, videos, whatever it may be, for March, even into April, and look at those reports, people's experiences out there, and just use that for give you the idea of what's going on, could possibly going on at the lake. We know conditions could have been different, water level could have been different, but at least it's kind of give you the basis of what possibly could be going on. Okay, there might be a jerkbait bite. Cool. I'm going to have one of those tied on. Okay, this person, that person, this video said there's a lot of shallow fish. Cool. I might start targeting some shallow areas, depending on what kind of information they're giving. I'm going to definitely keep all those ideas, like Isaiah said, back of my head. So at least I'm not going into this completely blind, but I'm also going to look at water level, temperature, weather, all that stuff. If I've been out lake, okay, cool. I got the Granite Bay launch ramp. I got Browns Ravine launch ramp. Is the ramps up at the North Fork even in the water yet? And just start kind of breaking down the lake. And I like looking at old reports, even Western Bass.
Western Bass.
I used to submit reports on that. They go back to like 07 and stuff like that. And I'll just skim through those and just find that specific month in March or April and like, okay, cool. This is what this guy was doing. Now that's what that guy was doing. So it's going to give you some ideas going in there, but I mean, we're coming in that springtime. We're just waiting for that water temperature to get up a little bit, that moon phase to kick in. But you also got to take in account that Folsom's getting fed by the North Fork and South Fork. And a lot of that is coming from up in the mountains. And
So
some cold water.
Cold water.
So you are big on getting information.
Oh, I think there's a lot of resources out there. I'm not like
Okay.
one of those guys like, hey, dude, I saw that picture you posted. Hey, what were you throwing?
I'm gonna try to waypoint exactly which tree that is in the background to see where you took your picture, so I can go fish that exact point.
Honestly, after that Wednesday when I did really well, that was my best day out there before the tournament. I had a lot of random people hitting me up on Messenger, and I don't want to be that guy and been like, dude, I've been out here like 3 or 4 days practicing. Like,
yeah.
I'm not going to give you all the darn information that I kind of worked my butt off for to kind of figure out.
This is what social media and YouTube has done to fishing. Everybody just wants the juice.
Yeah, like I think it's cool that people are, hey man, how'd you catch them? Like, I think that's pretty cool. But it's like, hey, I'll throw out the general thing, what's going on, Like, do your homework, please. I love helping people out. I will tell you after the tournament, but
so
there's a lot of there.
What about you, Steven? You big on getting information about areas for tournaments?
Not really.
No.
I'm not even big on pre-fishing. I'd rather just go and figure out what the fish are doing day of, because I mean, as you know, we fished a lot together. You could be catching them on something, and I could throw the identical thing and not catch a single fish, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So me personally, I like to wing it. I mean, do I get information? Yes, but I don't always use that information.
Well, if
you like to freestyle fish, then
yeah, pretty much. I only literally, since me joining in the kayak scene, I have only pre-fished for Clear Lake trips.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that's
the only
because
reason
we're
why.
there.
Yeah, the only reason why that is because we live so far from Clear Lake, anyways. It doesn't make sense to go fish one day and then come back home. You might as well make it work.
But
Just stay for the weekend.
Any of our other stuff, all of our, like Max knows, our local stuff. I fished a lot of our local lakes for years, and I just based off knowledge that I've learned over the years. Fishing boats, fishing bank. I just go out and stick to what I know for that body of water.
For me personally, I don't get any information from anyone. What I mean by that is nobody offers me information, and I don't have the connections to get information. So what typically happens is I don't get a chance to pre-fish, so I show up to the lake and I just start fishing. B, I've never been on that lake before, so I just pick whatever looks good on a map and I just go fish it. This is my third season in, plus or minus now. So I kind of have an idea of where I want to go, and I have areas that I've done well in the past, right? Or have caught fish in the past. But most of the lakes that I fish with you guys in Northern California, I've been to a handful of times, like less than 10 times. So I have no information on most of these lakes. So
I will say that's one thing I will do is map study myself, but that's about as far as I'll dig into it.
Yeah.
Just like, I mean, I've fished Pedro quite a bit, but it's always been main lake stuff. I've never launched moccasin, and that's my game plan was launch moccasin and fish that area, and it ended up panning out for me.
Good.
does it sway you guys to try different things? The information.
Yes and no.
No, not
Seeing
me.
seeing what some guys catch them on is like, oh, I'll try it, but if I'm not catching them on it, now I'll go back to what I know.
I'm always experimenting, even during tournaments. So for me, it doesn't sway me. I'm always doing something different, anyways. I'll give an example. Like this past weekend, when we were on Don Pedro, I was throwing around the big bait. And instead of fishing the big bait deep to shallow, I was more so paralleling the shoreline. I didn't get any bites, but I knew that there was fish up shallow. It's just where the fish going to come up and eat it. I didn't get a bite, but always trying something different. That being said, though, I do know how the big ones are caught at Pedro.
Nice.
Yeah, for the BAM event. And they weren't doing what you were doing, Sean. Huh?
I said spill.
No, that's Christian's information to give, and he runs a guide service, so I will not spill. I do know how he caught his fish, though.
Nice.
Oh, Christian.
And it's something that nobody's
Christian.
Yeah, and nobody's been really taking advantage of it yet. At least not out here. So
What was the 10? I just want to know what the 10 was caught on.
that I don't know. I didn't ask.
Was it Cinco?
No, I don't know what he caught.
No.
Question here to end the night.
Oh gosh.
This one was talked about 2 weeks ago.
It was talked about on other podcasts. A lot of people talked about it. The one with Matt Herron, it's the sharing info thing. Scott Martin self-admitted and stuff and kind of DQ'd himself. It's been discussed on other podcasts. Like, so they got like pretty much like you can't. I don't know exactly how the rule reads, but for those elite anglers, they can't receive basically outside information and use it to their advantage, basically, and stuff. It's kind of like a hush deal. To other anglers that are fishing the elites, but like an outside source, they can't receive information, stuff like that.
Yes.
I think
we have a local club that follows the same rule.
It's getting a little out of hand because I mean when you're together with other fishermen, you're going to talk fishing. If people recognize you or they see you pull up, you got your boat attached to you, your kayak, whatever. Oh, you're going fishing, huh?
Well,
no, I just like dragging my kayak around Clear Lake. Oh, I heard they're catching them around Anderson Island right now, throwing them beaver baits. Well, the guy just told you some information. You either be like, "Sorry, sir, don't tell me no more."
Well,
which I know that you're using that as a joke, but you shouldn't have said that anyways, because that technically is information for BAM anyways.
Well, you went. Oh, my phone.
Sean's gone. Sean's not here.
What?
What? I didn't hear nothing.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know. My phone's probably going to die.
He was talking about the Delta, not Clear Lake.
I heard Delta.
Yeah.
Anderson Point on the Delta.
No, but like,
Yeah.
it's a little overkill. Like, even the Matt Heron one, like the information he got was about fishing south or north, and the tournament he fished complete opposite. So it's a little out of hand. It's not like you're talking to a guide who was just out there or something. I don't know. It's a little overkill. But again,
Well,
I can tell you guys, hey, this is what I was doing at Don Pedro. Go do this, throw this here, throw that there, and you might not even catch fish. I could give you waypoints, and you may not even catch fish there.
It happens all the time. I mean, just fun fishing, off season, we share information about how we're catching them.
Yeah.
And
It's
those people can go out and try it and not catch them.
yeah, it's hard to catch other people's fish.
100%.
Is it? Is it?
If you don't fish for recycles, it is.
I don't know. I think that on an elite level, intent should really be put it into standard, as in the intent. Do they act upon the information? Do they use the information? Because quite frankly, let's just say if I'm not a Scott Martin fan, I could just walk up to Scott Martin and start blabbing out information about
Right.
Okeechobee, and then he gets DQ'd. And that wouldn't
Well,
be fair to Scott.
In his case, he only asked one question: "What's
Yeah.
the water clarity?" Well,
Yeah.
that turned into basically doc talk,
Yeah.
and he didn't
However-
shut it down, even though he was doing it all day long.
Yeah. However, though, before he could even say, I don't want to hear anything, you could just walk up to him and spout a bunch of information. And
Oh, 100%.
yeah, he's going to fail the polygraph now. Even
Yeah.
though he didn't ask for information, he received information just because you as a fan, I as a fan, whatever, went and spit information in his face.
100%.
But like if you're an angler on that level, yes,
Oh.
sponsors and everything, you when you're in the public eye, people are watching you. They recognize you. And if you come off being a total jerk, like, whoa, don't talk to me, don't tell me anything, then there's like, oh, what the hell, dude? You're sponsored by this, and this. Like, oh, dude, you're a total jerk,
I follow you because you fish and I fish, but you don't want to talk to me about fishing.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like a normal day. You go around the lake. If somebody, cruises past you, they're going to say, hey, how are you doing today? Or, how's the bite for you? And if you share any
Absolutely.
information, or you're just going to be an asshole and just RBF and just sit there, not say nothing.
That's what I do.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll answer that, Steve. Depending on what I'm targeting, I'll be that guy and not answer.
Well, I mean,
I've been that guy and joked around though too.
Yeah.
Scenario, if I'm sitting on a spot where I know there's a 10 or 10, 12, 15 pounder on a bed and I'm trying to catch it and I'm like, yeah, there's no fish over here. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm not going to be like, yeah, there's a 10 over here. Come try and catch it with me.
No, this affects my old home river with sturgeon. The page that it all pertains to is everyone posts on there, and then you get guys that aren't from that area that, oh, the bite's on here, let's go there. And it's we don't want to see a certain area look like Pittsburgh, where you can't go on a boat and not run into not 50 guys. And if you're a guide, you're always followed.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting at.
Well, I mean, it's no different too than if you decide to post a catch that you caught and everybody knows where you fish.
Yeah.
Then that spot gets blown up. You know who I'm
100%.
referring to, Max.
Well, everybody fishes my spots.
I know.
But they can't catch them.
I mean, some guys do, some guys don't, but everybody fishes my spots.
Yeah.
how do I know? Well, I post a clip, and then all of a sudden I go back next week, and there's somebody sitting on it. Even though I was the only one, even though I was the only boat out there in January, all of a sudden there's more boats now.
Yeah. Well, it's like look at Greg's videos.
But then,
He can go to
yeah,
he can go to certain places and
Mhm.
not name the lake, and I can
Yeah.
know exactly where he is based off the background, and I don't even have to look for the background. I just know.
But
yeah,
then-
but are you gonna go search for that spot just because he
Nope.
caught that fish?
I'm gonna go the
But
other
then-
side because those fish ain't gonna get caught.
Yeah.
but then, at the same time, as quote unquote content creator, whatever you wish to call it, because I share it, then obviously I'm okay with guys going to fish it. If I wasn't okay with it, then just don't share it, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, does it kind of suck? Yeah, but I'll get over it eventually. I'll just go find different fish. It's it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
that'd be that. Me and Max fish quite a bit together, fun fishing. That'd be like every time we went out and he caught a 10 or 12 pounder, and I just stayed at that spot for weeks.
Oh, trying to catch
Without him.
that thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get it.
Well, I mean, I put you on a 10, so it's okay.
Huh?
I said I put you on a 10 pounder, so it's okay.
You did.
Yeah.
You did.
You're welcome.
I mean, you got me. Mine's only 9.5. So
Hey, I struggled for a long time to break a 4 pounder in California. A long time, man. It wasn't until I jumped on the kayak scene that I started catching big fish.
That's good advertisement.
jump in a kayak and you'll catch a PB.
Yeah. But all right,
I mean-
gentlemen.
I've won thousands on big fish already, so
That being said, we'll wrap it up here. We've been going for about 2 hours. And I think Sean's phone died. I highly doubt he's gonna jump back on. So
Oh, Sean gone. He gone.
yeah, Sean is gone. But
yeah, mine's been dying, but it's plugged in.
yeah. But then for the last time, anybody that wishes to fish the Bass Nation event, to qualify, it is June 28th and 29th, 2-day event. Native event is also coming up this month at the end of the month on a Sunday. So anybody wants to win $1,000 an hour for a possible big fish, it's anybody's to win, literally.
Or a kayak.
Total, yeah. Or
I think kayak goes the biggest fish overall. So
Yeah, it does.
yes, yeah. Kayak goes the biggest fish overall. Probably the event to fish in California this year. It would be that event for your non-serious tournament anglers and your recreational anglers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
It's
that's
the
what I
event.
tell everybody. Even if
Yeah.
you don't do tournaments, the odds of the amount of money or the prizes you can win off one event, it's worth signing up, even if you're not tournament ready. Because you never know. You could literally go to a new body of water, launch somewhere you've never even fished, and throw a Cinco or throw a drop shot and catch an 8, 9, 10 pounder that's 23, 24, 25 inches and
Yep.
win $1,000 or win a kayak.
Especially on Clear Lake.
Yeah.
So that being said, we'll check in with everybody next Wednesday once again. Still debating what we're gonna do in the coming weeks, but send me ideas. We're gonna leave it at that, everybody. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Hey, that's doc talk if we send you ideas.
No ideas for topics.
I
I
know.
should say. Good night, everyone.